time for some update news on what we know for the next Brawl Stars update. We got new matchmaking coming, which should help when the trophy levels on your team are not very balanced, which I know is a big complaint. A little bit of info on the rarity of a new brawler, some maps being removed and added, and more. Let's do it. All right, first let's go over arguably the biggest news info we know coming, and that's the new matchmaking called Underdog, which is supposed to be helping people gain more trophies or lose less trophies if you are matched with two people on your team and one of them is way lower trophies than you. But Brawl Stars themselves made a post on Reddit explaining this. So let's go into detail so you can see exactly how it works and when you're gonna get this better matchmaking or better trophy loss and when you're not. Now, first of all, whenever you do get this Underdog matchmaking, you're gonna know as soon as the match starts with this little icon you see popping up on the screen telling you you're gonna have that Underdog status. Now, here's what they said. Many of you have provided feedback about matches that feel unfair because the players' trophies were lower than they should be. Now, we hope that they have a solution to this. So first, here's how it works. This problem arises when a group of two people is paired with a solo player. So let's say you're queuing randomly and you get a group of two. A lot of times when this can happen, you might have one person on the team who has maybe 700 trophies and the other is way lower trophies, like say 400 in this example. They're in a game room together and they go in a matchmaking together, and then you get matched with them. But the matchmaking is based on the highest trophy player, the 700 trophy person. This is intended to work this way so it doesn't prevent people exploiting matchmaking. For example, you could have a top ladder player trying to get really easy matchmaking by just playing with a mini account if it, say, took the average trophies of the room instead of just the highest trophies. So they take the highest trophies to stop that from happening. But you have that other random person who's the third guy, they get matched based on the highest trophy person, and then you have this lower trophy person on the team who's maybe not really up to par in most scenarios. So for that solo player, they're sort of at a disadvantage, and it doesn't exactly seem very fair. Why is that low trophy person even on the team, and now that solo player is at a disadvantage overall? Now, at the same time, they don't want to punish those two duo players and put them at some sort of disadvantage. They want to encourage friends to play together, so they're not really changing anything for those two players. It's only going to change for that solo player who is matched with those lower trophy players. So for example, that solo player will have the Underdog status in this scenario because of the huge trophy difference. Now, how exactly does the trophy gain and loss work when you have Underdog status? Well, according to Frank on Twitter, he said it's going to be about 50% more or 50% less trophies. That's actually huge. Now, of course, it's going to be rounded, so it's not exactly that amount, but 50% more trophies or 50% less trophies is a really, makes it a lot easier to trophy push if you have that Underdog status. Of course, you're gonna end up needing at least a 200 trophy difference for that to even activate. But here's a little more info on how to even get the Underdog status in the first place. Now, it's only gonna be used in 3v3, and it's not gonna be in solo or duo showdown, which makes sense. Now, there's actually two scenarios in which you can even get an Underdog status. First of all, is your match with two other players who happen to be in a team. They have to be in a game room together, have to be in a team together, and there's a 200 trophy difference between those two players, not between you and those players, between those two players. The other scenario is if you're matched against an enemy team and their average brawler trophies is 200 trophies or more higher than your team's average trophies. So if you ever have matches where you're just somehow matched against players who are way higher trophy than you, then this will help you out a ton. So honestly, I guess if you do somehow get matched up against those pro ladder players, well, maybe rejoice, because now you have an opportunity to gain way more trophies than you normally do. And hey, if you lose, no big deal. You're not even gonna lose nearly as many trophies. The other thing to note is if you do press play again, you will automatically lose the Underdog status. Now, if you don't press play again, but you end up getting matched with that same two-person group that you were matched with before, you will keep the Underdog status, even though you were just matched with them. But because you didn't press play again, for some reason, that happens to mess with the Underdog status. All right, other update news. First of all, there were some remodels that were leaked or not leaked. What about Pam? Pam's supposed to be getting a remodel, and in the Brawl Stars Championship stream, they did leak some improvements apparently to some of these brawlers. There was a new picture for Pam, but was it a remodel? Well, Frank on Twitter says, will she get a remodel? Yes. Was that picture a remodel? No, it was apparently just a little bit improved for the stream. However, there was an actual remodel that was leaked on stream, and that was Daryl's. He is getting a remodel, as we all knew was coming, and the actual remodel we can see right here. First of all, he's got a much bigger hat, and he's got, I think, a little bit more defined eyes, and his barrel is slightly different. I don't think it had an X before. I don't know, do you guys think this one is better? I think it's definitely kind of better. It is a little more cartoonish maybe, but the old Daryl kind of looked pretty flat and boring. I felt like this is maybe not quite as boring, but it's a little bit more childish too. I do think it's a better overall model, but of course we'll have to see how this looks also with his other new skins, or not his new skins, but like Dumpling Daryl, and if he does end up getting another skin with that as well. Also, I guess going back to Pam, since they didn't have the remodel in the Championship Challenge, maybe she's not getting a remodel this update, even though I know we all want some Pam skins. That probably also means Pam is not getting any skins in this update, unfortunately, but maybe that means Daryl is. I'm not quite sure if just because there's a remodel that means they'll get new skins, but I know they do tend to wait for the remodel to happen before they add another new skin for a brawler that does need a remodel. Now, as far as rarity of the new brawler is concerned, we have 5 epics, 5 legendaries, and 4 rares, super rares, and mythics. So it would make sense to probably not be a legendary or an epic, but it could also be a trophy road brawler as well. Although, actually, Frank on Twitter, someone asked him this question: do you guys have any plans to add more trophy road brawlers, or are you waiting for people to get higher trophies before you do that? He actually said there's no plans to add any more trophy road brawlers at the moment. Currently, I think the highest one is 8,000 trophies. So it kind of makes sense. Honestly, I feel like 10,000 trophies would be a really large goal to deny any player from achieving a brawler or playing that brawler. So personally, I think that makes sense. You can always add different incentives on trophy road, like a skin, to really encourage people to push higher trophies. So please improve trophy road for that reason. Although I guess they kind of did, but still add a skin. Now, normally I'm not allowed to talk about leaks just as part of the exchange for me getting early access to the Brawl Stars updates, but Frank himself answered a question concerning one of those supposed leaks, and that sometimes when you look at the files in-game in Brawl Stars, you can see some old data that they had. One of those old datas is a brawler that was in there, and it was called Homer. Apparently, that brawler, which was called Homer, was one of the prototypes for B, so it's actually not a new brawler. They just kind of don't remove a lot of the files, and apparently, I think Frank said this earlier, they just kind of get lazy and they just decide not to remove it, and it's, you know, it's not important for every person in the game. As far as guessing the rarity of a new brawler, I'm not even sure I want to guess, because if you understand Supercell and how they choose the rarity of brawlers, there's a very complex in how they do it, but it's based on a couple different things. One of them is largely based on how complex and unique the brawler is. So if it's a very complex brawler, well, basically they decide the rarity of the brawler after they make it. They don't make a brawler to get a certain rarity. So unless you really know what type of brawler a new brawler is gonna be, it's gonna be pretty hard to guess what the rarity is. I mean, I guess if you think it's complex brawler, it's probably gonna be a mythic, and if it's not, it'll be a rare or super rare, at least presumably. There's also some info about some new maps that are coming in the next update and also being removed, and all of them that we know of so far are happening in Brawl Ball. 5 new maps, I think 5 being removed. Now, as far as the maps being removed, we know Center Stage is being removed, Sunny Soccer is being removed, Course is being removed, Salam Salam is being removed, and also Power Shot is being removed. And of course, we know all this from a tweet from Frank where he announced the maps being removed, and of course, also those maps could end up coming back in the game at some point in the future. He also retweeted a tweet announcing the winners of a Brawl Ball map making contest, which announced the 5 new maps with a nice video if you want to see it there. And I actually showed you how you can make your own map and play on it in a video using Brawlcraft. If you want to see that, link above and below. But here's the new maps. Let me know what you guys think of these. Are you excited to play these or not? Also, going to environments, as far as new and old, a lot of times when they add new environments, it tends to be, of course, it's always on a new map for the most part, and a lot of times recently we've had majority of the new maps be for a new game mode, and then that new game mode gets removed, and then there's no longer really maps with that environment in the game. So sometimes we get environments and then they get removed. So will they be coming back? As far as the arcade environment is concerned, Frank said yes, that will be coming back in this next update, and presumably, I think I saw in another tweet earlier on where they're gonna try to have this happen less, where basically there's a new environment and then it kind of just gets removed. They're going to try to have those new environments be more spread out as far as game mode and having them actually stay in game. Let me know down below what you hope is coming most in the next update. That is going to be it for today's video though. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later.